Peace, peace, peace. Hope everybody's doing well. Today is February 12th, 2021. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. Today's topic will be forgiveness is for you, not for the person that the forgiveness is going towards. Again, forgiveness is for you, not for the person who's actually being forgiven. This is a topic that is deep because many of us carry around this energy. And what happens is when you carry around that energy of resentment, it destroys you internally. It doesn't destroy the other person, right? So there's a saying that I don't hold grudges, but I hold better memories to better prepare me for our next interface or our next interaction. I think that's the better way that I call forgiveness. Not to turn the other cheek. We're not doing none of that over here. Turn the other cheek and you get your chin broke, as RZA would say from Wu-Tang. Right? So we try to use realistic approaches so you don't carry or harbor that energy. That energy that you're harboring, it really begins to atrophy and destroy you internally. The other person, sometimes they do things, not even sometimes, more times than not, they do things and they don't even realize the damage that they caused by what they said or what they did, their deeds. Their deeds and the residual effect of those deeds and how you harbor this energy toward them and you carrying it around, especially maybe you didn't state how you was offended by it, or maybe you did and they just blew you off. Holding on to that energy will shorten your lifespan. You know, at 45, I'll be 46 soon. People always ask me that, you're aging well. What's the secret? The secret is I don't carry around that kind of energy. I'm not an emotional dude. Easier said than done because the body is naturally emotional. This vessel is, it harbors emotions, chemicals, and hormones. It's a regulatory system, and it has to be regulated by you, the observer. It's not supposed to regulate you. You're supposed to regulate it. Right? And not be controlled and consumed by quote unquote external factors or things that you perceive to be negative. That negative, that horizontal, you're supposed to stand on your vertical, right? And create 4 perpendicular lines, right? 4 perpendiculars to those 90 degrees of the cross or the crucifix or the plus sign. And these things you're supposed to use to ascend yourself psychologically and to mature you. To reach full maturity, you have to go through these phases. None of us are exempt from these phases, although these phases are very uncomfortable, right? So forgiveness is for you, not the other person. Don't carry that energy around, right? This is why a lot of people get offended. I always say I trust these people this much. The reason why I don't use the word trust, that 5-letter word, is because once you say you trust somebody, you just put them on a pedestal that they don't belong. In fact, subconsciously, not consciously, you think that they're going to maintain that behavior that you trust all through the duration of your relationship, whether it's 10 years, 15 years, 30, 40 years. And remember, you're only as good as your last endeavor, including them. So the minute they rub you the wrong way and they disappoint, or disappoint as far as your perception of this pedestal that you put them on, you begin to throw them under a bus. But is it really them or is it you? Who's the problem here? Right? These are the questions we have to ask ourselves. We're told that a friend is someone that you trust. Right? A friend is someone that you trust. But you got to be careful the expectations that you put on people. Peter Tosh said, I'm not in this world to live up to your expectations. Neither are you here to live up to mine. You're not here to live up to my expectations. And I overstand that. I understand that. However, every interaction that I have with you, I'm taking a chance with you the same way you're taking a chance with me. Because I'm a flawed being. I was born in flawness and sin and iniquity. And I don't mean it in a religious way, right? When I use the word sin, meaning I'm caught up in things that take me away from self-discovery. That's how I use the word sin. I'm not talking about theology way or the theological way. I'm speaking subjectively, and I'm trying to be very metaphysical about real things going on around us. So when I say that I don't trust you, but I'm taking chances with you, and the chances that I take, there's different ceilings for each person. Some people, the ceiling is very low because their demonstration has shown me that that chance is very risky. Then there's ceilings that are higher than others. There's certain people that I have relationships with 20, 30 years. Until this day, they've never let me down. That doesn't mean that it can't happen. And it doesn't mean that I throw away the relationship if they don't meet up to that standard. This is why, who am I to set a criteria for how they're supposed to behave? Who am I? Is that really realistic? So a friend is someone that you trust according to the definition. But someone that you trust is someone that you just put an expectation on. And they're not here to live up to your expectations. That's friendship, acquaintanceship, familyship, intimateship, co-workership. People are free to do whatever they want according to their best interest. You got to remember that human beings are, they only care about the most important thing, themselves. People only see themselves in all things. I'll give you an example. If we all take a group picture right now, as soon as the picture is over, we take 6 shots, bam, 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 right? As soon as the picture is over, everybody gonna run over there and look for themselves in that picture. You're not looking for the environment. You're not looking for the people you just took the picture with. You're gonna look to see how you look in the picture. It's just who we are. Some people might say it's selfish, but it's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. And when you take a photo or you capture this morphic genetic field, this physical body, for that split second, you're interested to see how you look because you don't get to see the observer in this life. You get to see the observed, meaning the environment. You don't get to see the observer, you get to see the observed. For that split second that you get a chance to see the observer, it piques your curiosity and you want to go right to how you look. In fact, there's if I hook up a brain scan and an eye scan, hook you up to a machine, studies will show, the machine will show that your eyes will look directly at you in the picture. It's not worried about the people that you just took the picture with. It's just who we are. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. The first law of nature. So it's not our preservation is the first law of nature. It's self-preservation is the first law of nature. Knowing that, equipped with that knowledge now, saying that I'm putting an expectation on you, knowing that the first law of nature is for you to think about yourself, not me. In fact, my value in your eyes, I'm always living off of valued energy. How much value I bring to you, how much I make you laugh, how much I contribute to your survival, how much I contribute to the survival of the people that you claim you love around you, whether it's your moms, your kids, you know what I'm saying? In that order. This is the nature of what human beings are. As the being is trapped in this human form, right? In the artificial self, right? The body, the artificial self. The true self is the inner being, but the artificial self is so powerful. This is where the persona comes from, right? Personality comes from persona, and it comes from this artificial self. And how Jay-Z said it when personalities clash and chrome meets chrome. This is when egos can't play well together. You know, people that actually get along, their egos can play well together, meaning their personalities are in congruency with one another, and therefore they know how to interface properly with each other without rubbing each other the wrong way, for the most part. But over a course of time, we see that things go left more times than not with what we call friends. So at all times, it's always like you're bordering or balancing a thin line between friend enemy or enemy friend. This is why I don't use that word. I call people my brothers or my sisters, or these are my tribesmen or tribe women. They are my tribe, because everything is tribal anyway. And as the regions are further apart, you go to different regions, different tribes abide by different rules, different regulations. They move different. They follow a different code of ethics, right? In gang culture, in the streets, you see it from region to region. You know, how the West Coast Bloods move, the East Coast Bloods move completely different. We got woos out here where Bloods and Crips are running together. In LA, that's completely unheard of. In fact, I got people in LA and they're not fond of it that Bloods and Crips move over here together like that. Let's just say that, right? You know, and you know the history of that going on in LA from the late 60s to current, and how it spread during the crack era when the drugs came from Nicaragua and went straight to LA, and then from LA it spread to all the different states along with the gang culture, and this is why it's so prevalent. So it's tribalism, and these tribalism have different codes, right? And whether they can coexist or not depends on whether the egos play well together or not. If not, personalities clash and chrome meets chrome. Somebody gonna get their head knocked off. I don't have to go deep into that. You understand what that means. But again, forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. Forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. So going back to gang culture, a lot of cats are born in these millennials or zennials, and they're beefing with cats from the other side of town based on a beef that go way back to the 60s, the 70s. Here in New York, we had gangs in the 40s and 50s, right? Chicago and New York probably got the oldest history of gangs. And the new generation is being born into beefs that they don't know nothing about. They can't forgive the other person or the other group on the other side of town. They take it real personal. They call them their ops and things of that nature. But when you were born, you had no ops. You knew no ops. This is a program in culture, right? It's a looping program to keep you believing in something that doesn't exist. In fact, what you call your ops on the other side of town, they only exist on that side of town because that's the socioeconomic status of their parents. So they moved on that part, and your parents, you live here because your parents was able to afford this lifestyle here in this region. So it has more to do, that's your ops because of financial circumstances. And the people that you riding with, your homies, your personalities play well with them, rooted 80 to 87% in finances, right? Forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. So you can't forgive them over there because you think that they're separate from you. You think that they're different than you. It's deep forgiveness. And I don't mean passive forgiveness where you just allowing somebody to use lethal force on you. I'm not talking about that. We don't do that around here. Somebody like Dylan Roof, not that I'm a church person, right? But if I was in that church, he wouldn't have survived. When I got my hands on him, it would have been a wrap. You know what I'm saying? It's deep because after those, maybe was it 4 to 6 people that got shot? I don't remember how many people. But the next day, everyone went there and lowered their head in prayer again, which is deep, you know, respectively. We saw the 4 to 6 people just get killed in a prayer position, and my people went back out there the next day in the same position and did it all over again after they just saw and heard what happened the day before, right? Respectively, I get it. You know, this is, you know, people are going to follow what's best for them. for me, I'm a little bit more militant. So when I forgive, I'm not forgiving in a passive manner. If you bring lethal force my way, you're gonna get lethal force back. You know, smack me and I'll smack you back. EPMD. That's just how that's gonna go down. Uh, those who follow me on social media or Facebook, I always tell you I'll leave you stiff as a board and send you home to your mama in a box. I mean that. I'm not. That's not rhetoric. That's just how I was raised. I don't know no other way. And knowing the history of mankind, why would I be any other way? Think about that. You wouldn't even respect me if I let somebody smack me, slap my glasses off across the room, and I'm sitting there in a submissive position. That will never happen. It's never have. It's going to be a response. It's going to be a very violent response. I took martial arts in 2008 all the way to 2018, right? So it's almost 10 years, really 9.5 years. So I have that training underneath my belt. So I know how to protect myself very well. It's nothing to brag about. It just is. However, I know how to still forgive. For me, not for the other person. Not passive forgiveness. Melanated people have gotten into this passive thing where somebody can kill your family, do you dirty, and we just say, oh, we'll just forgive them. That's not a code that I live by, respectively. So, forgiveness is for you, not for the other person. Not for the other person to have a blight, to come back and do it again. We deal with the physics of lethal force. We deal with the physics of physical combat. And I also have, serious firearms training that I legally do. I follow all the rules of my local municipality. So I'm no stranger to physical combat and beef. However, I'm an intelligent scholar as well. We're not sitting here promoting violence. However, I do promote self-defense. We're not talking about that passive forgiveness. We don't do that on these sides. So I have to be very clear on that. But you don't want to carry around that energy, because that energy will kill you. It's not going to kill the other person. That's what I mean by forgiveness is for you, not for the other person. It has nothing to do with them. Everything is subjective. You've heard me say this over and over again. The subjectivity of life, the loop and program of experience, good, bad, or indifferent. Experience will do three things. It will help you, hurt you, or kill you. You've heard me say this several times, several occasions. So, with all that being said, I'm going to end now in this video. Please let your last endeavor be your best endeavor. I repeat, let your last endeavor be your best endeavor. Don't carry that negative energy around with you. However, protect yourself if you have to. Don't turn your other cheek, because you might get your head knocked off and you might not survive it. Let's be clear on that. We don't play them games around here. In the words of my general Big Rec, you F around, you're going to lay around. And he meant that. God bless him in his transition. You know what I'm saying? Peace, Big Rec. I love you. My OG. Salute.